Australians don't have to be punished to achieve net zero. That's not our plan. That's not the Australian way. And our plan, which is the Australian way, our plan to get to net zero by 2050 gets that balance right. And that's why I think it's the right plan for Australia.
Hello, I'm Paul Barry. Welcome to Media Watch and to the Australian way of cutting greenhouse emissions, with the PM offering a plan to get to net zero, but with no mandate, no new laws, no new taxes and no change to the way we live.
Our plan is a fair plan. It's a practical plan. It's a responsible plan. This is a good plan. This is a whole of economy plan. It's an energy, trade and economic plan. The same plan, a careful plan, get the plan right.
It was an impressive barrage by the PM and his Energy Minister, who hammered the assembled media with the P word more than 90 times. And when you repeat a word that often, it sticks, especially on the all-important evening news.
Net zero by 2050. The Prime Minister unveils his climate plan.
The Prime Minister's pledge, a carbon-neutral plan by 2050 that gets the balance right.
Tonight, finally, the plan to reach net zero by 2050.
But as 10's political editor was soon explaining, the plan was not all it seemed.
Now, Peter, will this plan guarantee that we'll actually achieve the net zero target?
Oh, will it guarantee it? In a word, no. Maybe give me two words, absolutely not.
In the conversation, Michelle Grattan said the plan was built more on politics than detailed policy. And on Sky News, Andrew Bolt, who's never been in the market for a climate plan, compared it to Norman Lindsay's
The Magic Pudding, starring a pudding called Albert. You could eat all you like of that pudding, and magic, it never got any smaller.
Meanwhile, back on Sunrise, the PM's sales pitch was being interrupted with some pesky overseas criticism.
CNN says it's the weakest climate pledge of any rich country going to Glasgow. The New York Times says this plan is built on hope and little else.
Well, I reject all of that.
Even David Attenborough's having a go at us. Blimey, that's embarrassing.
No, it's not. I'm not embarrassed at all when it comes to doing what's right by Australia.
And equally defiant was Tim Wilson, the Assistant Emissions Reduction Minister, who went into bat against some hostile questioning on the BBC.
This is political. There isn't really a commitment to changing your policies on climate action.
That's just false.
People who are experts in this field say that these are fanciful assumptions.
Well, that's just rubbish.
And despite the British PM calling ScoMo's plan heroic, Australia was still getting boxed around the ears over the weekend by the UK government's climate change advisor, Lord Deben, and by former UN climate chief, Christiana Figueres.
I struggle to find an adjective that is politically correct. I think what Australia continues to do is so irresponsible.
But with Australia's plan under attack and Glasgow's COP26 at serious risk of failure, the PM at least had some positive press to fall back on. Because, back home, the newly converted News Corp tabloids reckoned ScoMo's plan spelt great news for jobs and investment.
Saving climate in the Australian way.
100,000 jobs will make zero a hero.
Really easy being green.
Climate Blueprint promises both jobs growth and cap on power prices.
Never mind if it's still pie in the sky. News Corp's front pages are now on side and looking for the positive. And in that sense, the government's plan is already delivering. But now, to a hammering for Auntie at Senate estimates last week. And not just on those costly Louise Milligan tweets, which we dealt with in August, or those allegations of corruption against Neville Wran, to which we recently devoted nearly a whole programme. No, we're talking about Senator David Van, who's a Liberal from Victoria. Senator Van told the Senate committee he's an avid consumer of ABC content, especially radio. But it seems he's not a fan because he's convinced ABC reporters let their views pollute the news. Or, as he put it...
And I find all the time that I'm confused between what is news, what is analysis and what is opinion.
Senator Van then gave 3 examples of the ABC supposedly breaching its own guidelines, starting with this intro from AM Sabra Lane back in July.
The bitter spat between politicians and health officials over Australia's bungled COVID vaccine rollout is showing no signs of easing.
So what is wrong with that? Senator Van was happy to explain.
Now, using the term bungled, that's an opinion. She's not basing that on any fact, is she?
And then adding a little later...
The term bungled is quite loaded and is an opinion, isn't it?
Senator Van then gave a second example, also from AM in July, in which reporter James Glenday and host Kim Landers described the vaccine rollout as problem-plagued.
The head of the nation's COVID-19 vaccination task force says the problem-plagued program should soon start to speed up.
Over the weekend, Australia's problem-plagued vaccination program marked a milestone. 10 million doses have now been administered.
And what was wrong with that? Senator Van said it was a repeat offence.
Again, opinion, and again, quite loaded terms. What entitles them to use loaded terms, opinion, in news pieces?
Now that is a fair question. Opinion and news should be separate and clearly defined, and the ABC's guidelines make that clear. But was it really an opinion that the vaccine rollout had problems? Or was it a fact? Or was it, as we would argue, a reasonable conclusion based on the facts? Certainly almost everyone else, including the Prime Minister, came up with that verdict.
Tonight on 9 News, the Prime Minister says sorry for Australia's bungled vaccine rollout.
As the Prime Minister finally gave an apology of sorts over the nation's bungled vaccine rollout.
I'm certainly sorry that we haven't been able to achieve the marks that we had hoped for at the beginning of this year. Of course I am.
We won't play you all the examples because we'd be here till next week. But if you pump the phrase Australia's bungled vaccine rollout into Google, you get thousands of hits. And the headlines come from both sides of the political spectrum.
4 ways Australia's COVID vaccine rollout has been bungled.
How did Australia's vaccine rollout turn into a train wreck?
Where the bloody hell are the vaccines, Prime Minister?
PM dealing with real competency problem over botched vaccine rollout.
And day after day, month after month, Australia's commercial TV news programs have reached the same conclusion and used the same language.
Bungled vaccine deal. Bombshell emails reveal the government dragged their feet with Pfizer.
Vaccine fail. Fresh details surrounding the government's 2020 Pfizer bungle.
As the vaccine rollout bungle bites here in New South Wales, the government's accused of failing to focus on keeping Australians safe.
So, should the ABC's critics be up in arms about Sabra Lane's intro? I really don't think so. But Senator Van then produced another example regarding the death of former US Secretary of State Colin Powell. And once again, it was AM and Sabra Lane who was in his sights for this line.
Colin Powell's reputation will be forever marred by a speech he made at the United Nations in 2003 in support of military action in Iraq.
And what was wrong with that? Cue Senator Van once more.
Saying someone's reputation is forever marred, again, that's surely an opinion, isn't it?
Well, not really, in that it's clearly a judgment based on facts. And once again, almost all the media looked at the facts and reached the same conclusion on the importance of Powell's famous claim that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction.
No such weapons ever turned up, forever tarnishing an otherwise glittering career.
His legacy marred by false claims to justify the war in Iraq.
Marred by the decision to invade Iraq on false information.
But what makes this one even easier to judge is that Colin Powell himself admitted his UN speech was a huge blemish on his record.
It's a blot. I'm the one who presented it on behalf of the United Nations, United States to the world, and it will always be part of my record.
How painful is that?
It was painful. It's painful now.
And how painful is this sort of word-by-word scrutiny of the ABC for alleged bias? In my opinion, it's painful, vexatious and uncalled for, even when it can be easily dismissed. We put our findings to Senator Van and asked if it was still his opinion that ABC editorial policies had been breached. He told us, yes.
There is ample room for opinion on the ABC, but the news isn't one of them. How commercial broadcasters choose to draft their editorial guidelines does not give ABC reporters, who are paid by the taxpayer and are bound by the Charter, licence to report at the same standard as commercial stations. For Media Watch to suggest the ABC can operate at anything below the highest standards to balance commercial broadcasters is a disgrace.
A disgrace? I guess we beg to differ, and we're allowed to have an opinion because we are an opinion show. But now to the price of fame and a big sporting star who's been doing the rounds.
Well, Michael Clarke may be one of Australia's most successful cricketers, but he's quickly adding a few new titles to his name.
Michael has joined a stellar roster of athletes on the new Australian video messaging platform, Swish, with a Y, a way for fans to connect with their favourite sports stars.
Yes, lockdown lifts and the spruiking starts. because Michael Clarke wasn't talking to Kylie and Larry on Seven's The Morning Show about the summer of cricket. He was flogging his wares.
Everyone at the moment struggling financially. Everyone's taking a hit. To be able to hear from, your favourite rugby league player or AFL player or netballer, for $50, that could be massive for your son or your daughter.
$50 for a short video message? That's a nice little earner. 10,000 of those and whoa. But as the press release told us, Clarke was excited to be working with Swish because fan engagement is something he's very passionate about. So passionate, in fact, he was beaming in live.
Michael Clarke joins us live now, not from his new house, but from inside his car.
I'm so sorry. I'm running late and rushing.
Yep, interviews to do, products to plug, no time to get to the studio. But Kylie and Larry knew the drill and got right down to business.
How does this work? How does it work? What sort of message would you do for Kylie, for instance?
Well, if it was for me, I could wish her a happy birthday, hope she has a great day, sorry I can't be part of the celebrations, whatever it is, and then you would pay a fee for that. If it was me, it'd probably cost you about $20.
Well, if you go to the Swish site, you'll see that a short video message from Michael Clarke is actually $300, which is 15 times as much. A very nice little earner indeed. That fact wasn't revealed in their chummy chat, nor was the fact that Michael Clarke owns a slice of Swish. And it didn't come up on Kiss FM's Kyle and Jackie O show either, as Clarke gave Swish another plug.
I've also read that you can purchase a video that you will appear in to, like, fans or if someone's having a birthday.
Swish. Yeah, it's called Swish. Yeah, it's exactly what it is. Pretty much, it's fan engagement. It's the modern day fan engagement where, time's gone by where you'll go and sit and sign autographs and have photos and take that time to get closer to your fans. Now is online.
And the difference being that autographs used to be free. The price of progress. Although, once again, we weren't told it was $300. But Kyle and Jackie O were keen to emphasise that 20% of the proceeds go to a kids' charity. And so were Nova's, Fitzy and Whipper, when Michael Clarke went selling Swish to them.
A lot of people are talking about Swish at the moment.
This just allows, athletes, past, present, just to get closer to their fans and stay connected.
Now, we all know the deal here. The media get their star and a couple of questions about cricket or Clarke's personal life, provided they plug the product. But that morning there was big breaking cricket news of South African wicketkeeper Quinton de Kock withdrawing from a World Cup match because he didn't want to take the knee. And incredibly, no one on Nova even asked Clarke about it. Nor did they do so on Nines Today, where the story was running throughout the breakfast show, and where Clarke was also beaming in to do a different sell.
Cricket legend Michael Clarke joins us now from Sydney.
Clarky!
How are you, my friend?
Team. Nice to see you, buddy.
Well, how are you both?
Hey, you've also been busy. You've got a new project you can tell us about.
Yeah, look, I've signed up with Bevma, again, an alcohol company. I've always drank spirits and they've got a number of great options, which is good.
Yes, 8:30 in the morning and flogging booze. But Clarke's their brand ambassador and an investor and primed to sing their praises, which of course he did.
They're doing a lot of those pre-made drinks as well, like the margaritas, those types of things that are in fashion at the moment. And like I say, they've got a good variety around options, but also price. So I think for the Aussies, well, for me anyway, having homeschool, come Friday afternoon, I'm crying out for a drink.
Nine tells us it was not a paid promotion, but it was strange stuff for breakfast TV, and we reckon in breach of industry rules, if only in spirit. No pun intended. Alcohol ads are banned on breakfast TV because lots of kids are watching, and Clarke was clearly promoting alcohol and a particular alcohol company. But because it was unpaid editorial and not an ad, it's not in breach of the code. Go figure. And did Nine get the scoop? Well, no. The day before, Clarke had been on Sky to spruik his alcohol partnership and to trot out the same lines.
I've always been a spirits drinker. I think like every parent, when you're homeschooling Monday to Friday, you look forward to that Friday afternoon beverage.
Do viewers enjoy these sales pitches? Who knows? But with its insatiable demand for content, the media is always happy to play along. And Clarke is an old hand at the game, using his fame over the years to plug watches, boats, airlines, cars, petrol, vitamins, toothbrushes, property, and even a short-lived cryptocurrency, which caught the attention of ASIC and folded 2 months later. Which goes to show Clarke turns out for lots of teams, and the media are always happy to play with him. And before we go, a correction. In September, we referred to Dr. William Malone, a prominent US critic of gender dysphoria treatment, as a conservative Christian doctor from Idaho who specialises in diabetes. Dr Malone wants it known that religion has nothing to do with his opposition to the treatment, and that as an endocrinologist he treats many hormone diseases, not only diabetes. That's all from us tonight. There's more on our website where you can read a full statement from Senator David Vann, Channel 9 and the ACMA. And don't forget, Media Bites every Thursday online. But for now, till next week, goodbye.